Hello, good evening, good day, everybody, and welcome to the Ask Abhijit show. This is another unscheduled episode because of the situation that we currently find ourselves in, and I hope you're all doing very well. I just watched the address to the nation by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It was very interesting to say the least. And I'm sure I'm going to have questions about that in today's episode. And I was supposed to have this start the episode at 8 p.m. today, but then it emerged that Prime Minister Modi was going to do the speech at 8 p.m. So it made sense for me to move it to 9 p.m. So here we are. And thank you so much for being on this live stream. Let me see who all is there on the live stream. I can see Shravani, Man Cheda, Anant Pai, Gojo, Lone Travel Guru, Rashmi Rathore, Barkha Batra, Nationalist, Arpit Jain, Amandeep Singh, Anant Chandak, Pranav, Pavish Raina, Dikshant Bisht, Parth Prajapati, Panda 9000, SP, Ishan Verma, Vishal Jaiswal, Chaitanya, Kai, Anjali, Sinha, P- Parastav, Kundu, Chirag Avasti, Aaron Parker, Avnish Mishra, Mudra Makwana, Jeet Singh, Abhinav, Stuti Mishra, Nikhil Negi, Rushi, Shashank Kaushik, Praveen Nair, Hardik Prajapati, Amit Garg, Devik Shriyan, Himanshu Shukla, Vishal Kumar, Pranay Paul from Kolkata, Vaibhav Shinde, Akash B.A., Karan Nalawat, NGL Knight, Prathamesh, Tejas, Shreyash Patondikar, Anant Padmanab, Emmi Yatagiri, Amit Garg, Event Countdown, Vedant Shukla, and everybody else. Thank you so much for being on the live stream. I'll not spend so much time greeting you all. Please, let's get going with the questions. Please ask me your questions. I'm sure you have a lot to ask and we have a lot to discuss. So, okay, adventure with Swaraj starts the questioning. The first question is, what do you think about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech? It was a very interesting speech. And I think, you know what I need to actually do is I need to play the speech in the background and I need to react to it. I've never done a reaction video to anybody. I think it is time for me to make such a video. Now, I don't have the speech right now. I'll have to download it and play it or something like that. I've never done that before. So maybe I'll do it tomorrow. How about I do a live stream tomorrow in which I react in real time to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech? Because it was about 22 minutes long. Very important points were made in that speech. He was visibly angry and a lot of subtleties and nuances in that speech. So I think I'll do an episode again tomorrow. I mean, completely out of unscheduled, but let's do it. I'll do another episode tomorrow, another live stream tomorrow, in which I'll react to Prime Minister Modi's speech segment by segment. But overall, let's answer the question today. I think it was very interesting, the speech. Prime Minister Modi made many points that we have been discussing the past few days, right? He made it very clear that over 100 Pakistani terrorists have been eliminated. He said that many terror masterminds have been eliminated, right? He also said, he made it very clear to the Pakistanis that this so-called ceasefire is a pause. We have put a pause to this thing because you came to us and you begged for a pause. So we have put a pause to our military actions, and we're gonna now, and we did the pause because you promised us that you're gonna mend your ways. So we're gonna hold you to it, and we're gonna observe you. We're gonna scrutinize your activities and actions very closely. And the moment you show any sign or signal of going back to your old ways, we're going to resume Operation Sindoor. So it's just a pause. That's what he said. He also said that terror and talks cannot go together. He said that terror and trade cannot go together. He said blood and water cannot flow together. Very clear, right? He So these are the points that he made. He also made a statement. He said to the to the world at large, whoever is out there beyond the subcontinent, he said that, if you want India and Pakistan to talk, to hold talks, then yeah, we can talk. But if we talk to Pakistan, we're going to talk about terrorism. If we talk to Pakistan, we're going to talk about POK and nothing else. It's very interesting what he said to the rest of the world. What does he mean by the rest of the world? What does he mean? That's the question. And it's also really interesting to note what or who Prime Minister Modi did not mention in his address to the nation. Who is it that has tried to take credit for the so called ceasefire? It is US President Donald Trump, right? He has tried to take credit for the ceasefire. And Mr. Narendra Modi did not mention the United States. He did not mention President Trump, right? So he clearly disagrees with what Trump is saying. And US Secretary of State Marco Rubio he had stated that India and Pakistan, he announced this, the guy, that India and Pakistan have decided, have agreed to hold talks at a neutral venue of some kind. So Prime Minister Modi said to the world at large that, yeah, we can talk to Pakistan, but if we talk to Pakistan, we'll talk only about terrorism and POK and nothing else. And terrorism and talks cannot go together. So first we will need to see how Pakistan behaves, right? And Trump had tweeted about this thing a couple of days ago, that India and Pakistan are now going to have a ceasefire. And you will know, we all know, that whenever President Trump tweets anything about India, Prime Minister Modi very rapidly acknowledges that with a great amount of warmness on Twitter itself, right? And this time, Prime Minister Modi has ignored Trump's tweet. And if you watched the speech, the address of Prime Minister Modi, he looked visibly angry at times. Now, what was he visibly angry about? Obviously, about the Indians who were killed in the Pahalgam attack. Sure. He was angry about Pakistan and Pakistan's behavior, for sure. But I think there was another element or aspect or dimension to his anger. He was angry at something more than Pakistan. I think he was angry about Trump's interference. Trump came in the way. Trump actually said that Trump actually threatened India that we're gonna end trade with India. That's the threat that he gave, and I can prove it to you. Give me a second. Let me bring that on the screen. I will put that on the screen. So here is just give me a second. Okay, let's put this on the screen. So this is what the media has not really highlighted. The Indian media, I don't know what they do. It's come out on the Times of India over here, as you can see, as a kind of footnote. So, U.S. top nuclear conflict, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, etc., etc., etc. Right? More, and millions of all that he's talking about. And then what? Look at this paragraph. I think nobody in the Indian media has noticed this or paid attention to this. Trump further confirmed ongoing trade negotiations with both India and Pakistan, stating that we are going to do a lot of trade with Pakistan. We're going to do a lot of trade with India. We are negotiating with India right now. And one second, where did that go? It's interesting. Trade. We're going to soon negotiate with Pakistan. Interesting. Where is that particular part of the thing? Okay, here. He also claimed, Trump, that US trade leverage played a role in diffusing tensions between the neighboring countries, stating, we helped a lot and we also helped with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we are doing trade. If you don't stop it, we are not going to do any trade. You understand that? If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. People have never really used trade the way I used it. But that I can tell you, and all of a sudden they said, so he threatened, forget about Pakistan, he threatened India that if you don't stop what you're doing to Pakistan, we are not going to do any trade, which essentially means that the Americans will impose trade sanctions on India. Do you see what Trump has done? He threatened to impose trade sanctions on India. We will not do any trade with you anymore. That's what he said. That can destroy a nation's economy. Pakistan doesn't matter with whatever he said to Pakistan. Pakistan was not the one, striking at the other country. We were the ones who had Pakistan at our mercy. And Trump came in the way and saved Pakistan. And then he claimed that he has achieved this great ceasefire. Right? So Mr. Modi was clearly very angry about this. And I promise you this, my friends, Trump will, in some shape or form or some way, pay some kind of price for this, what he has done in the long run. He has another 3.5, 4 years to go, right? This is a long term thing. The world doesn't, it doesn't, forget about the short term. The, wo- the world is a long term game. And Trump is, well, this will come back to, he will see reminders of this somewhere. The US will have to pay some kind of price for what they've done here, for giving Pakistan a lifeline. So that's what I can say. But let's take some more questions. Come on, let's do that. Doesn't India export pharmaceuticals to the US? Yeah, but please look at the bigger picture. That's not how trade works. Um, anonymous scientist says that interestingly, there was no mention of Trump or his administration in Prime Minister Modi's address to the nation. That's exactly what I just discussed, right? Mr. Modi made it a point to not mention Donald Trump or his administration or the US in his address to the nation. It is very notable, and it is very interesting, right? Okay, I'll not take questions about astrophysics today. We're discussing Pakistan and this issue, the 3 day war. Uh, Hari Vinay says, how many units of Akash and S400 systems do we need to guard India's borders? It is very evident after the 3 day war has paused that we have sufficient units of Akash and S400 systems to guard our western border with Pakistan, from the north all the way to the south, all the way from Ladakh, all the way to Kutch in Gujarat, Western India. All of that we have been able to completely, per, almost perfectly safeguard it. So that is taken care of. Now we have another bigger border. I mean, if you want to look at the map, in case you're not familiar with India's map, but let's do it. Let's illustrate the point I am trying to make here. Let's take a look at the map. Here is map. So we have this western border with the with the artificial temporary terrorist nation, which is all the way from Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir. You have Himachal Pradesh, I don't know, not really Himachal Pradesh, but Haryana, Punjab, all those regions. Then Rajasthan, large state. Then Gujarat, another large state, all the way to Sir Creek in the westernmost part of Gujarat, Kutch, right? So all of that, we have now proven that it is perfectly well defended through this multi-layered air defense system that we have, which has Akash, which has Barak, which has the S400, which has the L70 gun, which has Manpads, which is Pechora. All these different systems integrated together in a multi-layered air defense system. So we have. So before I go further with that, let me say something, my friends. Do you people realize what has been proved to the world in the past in this 3 day war? The world will now notice that India has the world's best air defense system, the world's best battle tested air defense system, tested over and over again in just 3 days. The Indian air defense system, I don't know what its name is, it doesn't have an integrated name, but the Indian air defense system is superior to Israel's Iron Dome. We proved it over the course of this 3 day war. The Pakistanis threw everything they had at us, and we brought everything down. Nothing went through. Not a single drone, not a single short range missile, medium range missile, whatever range missile. They even launched a missile at Delhi. That was brought down. Everything they tried was brought down. They tried to hit more than 25, maybe more than 30 Indian cities, civilian centers. They tried to hit schools and colleges and temples and gurudwaras and whatnot. Right? They tried to hit everything they could, and nothing was touched. They tried it over and over and over again. In just one night, they launched more than 500 drones. Every single one was brought down. India has the world's best battle tested air defense system, superior to the Iron Dome system of the Israelis, superior to anything else that has been actually battle tested. Incredible. Now, coming back to the question. All right, so here we are. Now, we have another border with the actual larger threat, which is China. This is the India Tibet border, right? All the way from Arunachal Pradesh all the way to Uttarakhand, and then if we go further north in the Ladakh region, we have Xinjiang, what the Chinese call Xinjiang. So that's another significantly large border. If we add up the length of the border, it is definitely longer than the border that we have with the temporary nation. Now, I'm not sure what the situation of concerning air defense is along the India Tibet and India uh, Chinese occupied territory border, but we will need the quality and quantity, same quality of air defense, but probably a larger quantity, because the Chinese may pose a different kind of threat. They may have different kinds of, they definitely will have different kinds of weapons compared to what the Pakistanis have, right? The Pakistanis, what do they have in terms of aircraft, fighter planes? They have the F-16, which is a 1970s aircraft, but the Americans have been upgrading it. So it is, I'm sure it's a pretty good aircraft. Don't, let's not write it off. It's a pretty good aircraft, the F-16. And they have the Chinese JF-17, which is a much better aircraft, much more modern aircraft. And those threats have been neutralized by India. We saw it over the past 3 days. Now the Chinese have fifth generation fighter planes, two different kinds of fifth generation fighter planes. The J-20, I think it's called, and there's one more apparently, and they have other kinds of fighter planes. They have, I'm sure, many more fighter planes numerically than the Pakistanis have, and they will have other maybe superior missiles to what the Pakistanis have, and superior drones perhaps. So so we haven't, our air defense system hasn't been tested against the Chinese, but our armed forces obviously will know very well what the Chinese have. It's not like we are blind and we have no idea what the Chinese are up to. We have been studying the Chinese threat for a very, very long time. We have professionals whose entire job is to study China. So we have that. That's going on. And I'm sure that we have the technology. Now it's very clear we have some of the best technology in the world. I think the Indian missiles and Indian air defense system, indigenous one, is, I think, superior to anything anybody has anywhere in the world. We can actually say that now, after the battle testing it underwent for 3 days and 3 nights. So I'm sure that we can very well take care of the Chinese threat. The Chinese must be really worried right now. The whole world is now looking at India with a different set of eyes. In just 3 days, the whole perception has changed. And it obviously has to change. I think numerically we will need more numbers of Akash systems, more numbers of S400 systems, more numbers of whatever else. The border is longer. We also have to consider the geographical position of our friendly nation, Nepal, for instance. Let me put that on the screen. Once again, let's take a look. So, in case there's a war in the future between India and China, the Chinese, if things don't go well for the Chinese, they may try and leverage Nepal. They may try to come through Nepal also. We also have to keep that in mind. I'm sure we are keeping that in mind. So Nepal could become Nepal. You could say the British left Nepal independent because they wanted a buffer state between territory that the Chinese were interested in and British India, British occupied India. So Nepal is kind of still occupies that position of kind of a buffer state, and the Chinese may try to leverage that if they can. If there's a war with India, which doesn't go well for them, so we will have to consider this entire border. It's like we have to defend Nepal also against China, right? We have to defend all the way from the northernmost part of Ladakh, all the way to the easternmost part of Arunachal Pradesh, including Bhutan, including Sikkim, including Nepal, including Uttarakhand, Himachal, everything else. That's how we have to approach the potential threat. So I'm sure we will need many more units of Akash and S400 systems than we have deployed on the western border. And the units that are deployed on the western border will have to stay there. And now we will have to reformulate our approach, because the Pakistanis will have learned something from the past 3 days, from the absolute whooping they got over the past 3 days. So now battle strategies and tactics and perceptions and everything else, they evolve. It always evolves. Every new battle is a new day and a new set of parameters that you have to consider. Right. Okay. Okay. I can see questions. All right. Let's see this. McLevin says, so Trump said on Truth Social that after 1,000 years, he will find a solution for Kashmir. Is the 1,000-year thing a hit towards us? Is he trying to make Kashmir a global issue? No, I don't think Trump is interested in making Kashmir a global issue. But he is focusing on Kashmir right now. Let's understand why Trump has suddenly decided to focus on Kashmir. Let's understand what actually happened. So Trump had made the promise to his voters, hmm, Trump, that he will end the Ukraine war on the first day of his presidency. That's the promise he had made, and he has failed miserably at that. Then that didn't work. And now the Americans are no longer interested in mediating in the Ukraine Russia thing. And they now seem to be looking at Ukraine from a purely financial and resources perspective, the minerals deal they've done. So they are okay with letting the war go on now, it looks like. So Trump has failed miserably at his promise about ending the Ukraine war. When it comes to the Gaza situation, the Israel Gaza war, well, things aren't going well there also. He's not been able to end that conflict or decisively turn it in favor of whoever he wants it to. And his personal equation or relationship with Netanyahu has also seems to have soured. So even that's not going well for him. So he's looking for a win somewhere. And he has decided that I'm going to arm twist India into giving me this win I want. So here we go, public of India, of America, American voters. Look what I did. I just walked in and I ended the conflict. Did a ceasefire. And this 1,000-year thing, I just don't get what it means. Is it trying to talk about the 1,000 years in which the Arabic and Turkic marauders tried to invade India, and some of them occupied India for some time? Is it talking about that? Or is it saying that it's not our conflict, it's a forever conflict, and maybe if I stop it, then I'm a great Mahapurush or something? Not sure. I don't really care what he's trying to say. Now, the real question is, see, J.D. Vance, Trump's number two, the vice president, he had made the statement that this conflict, India-Pakistan war, etc., it's none of our business. It's not America's business. We need to stay out of it. And just about 24 hours later, they step in and they announce that they've ended the conflict. They've made India and Pakistan agree to a ceasefire. So what caused this sudden U-turn from the Americans? What caused that? That's the interesting question, isn't it? What really happened? Something happened that sent the Americans in a panic. And it's being speculated that India hit various nuclear storage sites of the Pakistanis where they have stored nuclear warheads. The Americans seem to be very interested in those warheads for some reason, more than the Chinese. So apparently, one scenario, one possibility is that India hit Pakistani nuclear warhead storage sites and maybe destroyed some warheads, and maybe radiation leaked out, and that's why the Americans have come to mop things up. And maybe apparently the Pakistanis may have made some threats to the Americans that we will cross the nuclear threshold, and the Americans panicked. Maybe that's another scenario. But what really happened? I think the Americans started panicking once we started hitting the Noor Khan air base. In 30 minutes, we hit 9 air bases, right? We had completely neutralized Pakistan's air defenses. And in the last 30 minutes of the war, the Indian Air Force crossed over into the Pakistani airspace or into Pakistani territory, created all the runways, and started hitting airbase after airbase. We hit 9 air bases in 30 minutes with complete air dominance. Once you crater the runways of the enemy, their planes can't take off. And we did very, very damaging hits to places like Noor Khan Air Base. Now here's the deal. Some of these air bases have F-16s, American F-16s. Now, do you know the deal with America and Pakistan? These F-16s are given to Pakistan, but the Americans own the F-16s. And the Americans have personnel who are always on location in Pakistan and who never let the F-16s out of their eyes. So in every Pakistani airbase that has F-16s stationed there, you will have a bunch of American technicians and personnel who are in charge of babysitting and safeguarding the F-16s, which means that if the Pakistanis launch F-16s towards India, it is with the full cooperation of the Americans. It also means that when India hits those air bases which have F-16s, well, people can die. What kind of people? American personnel. Did that happen? Did that happen in the past 3 days? Is that why the Americans said enough is enough? My question is, why do the Americans have so much of an interest in Pakistan? So, this is the kind of thing that's happened. Some people say there's a nuclear leak. I'm seeing the comments and all that, but I'm sure there are multiple reasons for this. But the Americans gave the Pakistanis a lifeline, and Mr. Modi is extremely angry about this. It's very clear. Sunita ji says something very interesting, and I like what Sunita ji is saying here. Trump gave India an easy way out of buying over expensive American weapons. We should accept this large, big, ginormous, beautiful gift. I said some time ago that Mr. Modi is very angry, clearly angry. I could see that during his address to the nation. And he made it a point not to mention his good friend, President Trump, and not to mention the United States in his address to the nation. He refused to give the Americans any credit for the ending or the pause in our military operations, right? And Trump has saved the Pakistanis. He has saved their skins when we had the chance to end this once and for all. And the nuclear blackmail, the nuclear threat had been wiped out. There was no question of any nuclear threat. The Pakistanis were begging for their lives. If they really were to use the nuclear weapons, they would have used them earlier. And even if they tried, they would have failed because our air defense would have taken everything out. That's what the Pakistanis came face to face with. So they were begging and pleading for their lives, and Trump saved their skins, right? Now, Mr. Modi, if you know anything about him, he doesn't forget, right? Trump is going to pay some price for this. He had declared unilaterally some time ago when Mr. Modi went to Washington, D.C. Trump had declared that India is going to buy F-35s. Well, why don't you try and make India buy the F-35s now? Try and make India buy F-35s. Those overpriced flying trash bins. We're not buying any F-35s. Not going to happen. So, yes, this is a very perceptive statement. Very perceptive. And I agree with this. Paras says, will nuclear radiation reach northern India through air? Which nuclear radiation? Which nuclear radiation? We haven't hit any nuclear reactors. Nuclear fallout happens when you either have an explosion, nuclear explosion of any kind in the atmosphere, or it happens when you break open a nuclear reactor and there's a meltdown, like what happened in Chernobyl or Fukushima. That's when you have nuclear radiation in the air. There's no such thing. If there is any leakage, it is localized leakage. See, I showed yesterday, I did a live stream yesterday in which I showed what's the melting point of uranium and what's the melting point of plutonium. And what's the evaporation point of uranium and plutonium. So both could melt. If you have nuclear warheads that we have hit with the BrahMos or whatever we have hit, it gives off a lot of heat. So the fuel, whether it's uranium or plutonium, it may have melted, but it won't have evaporated, right? So it won't go into the atmosphere. Maybe the warheads would have fragmented, and maybe the fragments of the fissile material may have fallen over a wide area in Rawalpindi or wherever else. That's not our problem. It's not reaching us. So worry not, my friends. Worry not. Okay. Prashant Singh Chauhan says, will POK come back in 2 to 3 months? Astrologers consider a high possibility of it. I don't know about astrology. Okay, I have zero understanding of astrology. So I'll not comment about that. I had made a prediction when the war started that the borders will change in 14 days. Looks like my prediction is going to fall flat, but let's see. I will be happy if it comes in 2 to 3 months. I'll be happy. It looked like it would have come in the last 3 days, actually. Yeah. So we will see about that. We will see. Who says, why did India not retaliate to the drone attacks from the idiot Pakistanis after the ceasefire understanding, after the temporary cessation of Indian military activities? How long are we going to accept this? Yeah, so apparently the Indian media has been reporting that the Pakistanis have been indulging in ceasefire violations. We should hit them hard if they do that. Okay. So now understand something. Should I say this? Should I not say this? Look, um, Pakistan was begging for mercy. They were on their knees pleading for mercy, right? And the Americans stepped in, and we have done the ceasefire, the so-called pause in our military activities. Do you think the Pakistanis were in a position to violate ceasefire? Maybe we were rubbing it in on them, and they were trying to respond. Possibly, I'm just completely speculating. Okay, this is pure speculation. It may or may not have anything to do with the real world. I'm just saying. But yeah, if the Pakistanis are breaking the ceasefire, we should punish them very thoroughly and very very hard for their ceasefire violations. Absolutely. All right. Uh, let's Here we have it. In spite of having the worst education system, how do we manage to develop such impressive technology? We have the worst education system, but we have the best minds, my friends. Imagine if we improve the education system even 30%, what this nation is going to achieve. We succeed despite all the friction, all the problems we have, our system has created for us. Imagine if we have an education system on par with what you have in the developed nations. Imagine what the people of this country will achieve. I i cannot imagine how this country will change. It will be the greatest country in human history, right? Despite having all these problems, despite having this super mediocre education system which seeks out and destroys talent and rewards mediocrity, still we have people, engineers, scientists, etc., who develop the best technology in the world while being paid peanuts, right? So we need to change this. It will unleash the potential of this nation. What can I say? Rohan says, "What do you think that CNN's false articles of saying the Rafale has been downed? Is it a way of the Americans to arm twist India to buy F-35?" Okay, what do I think of this? CNN has been saying this. Many other American think tanks and journalists have been saying. They have been verbatim repeating what the Pakistanis have been claiming. Now, whatever claims we have made, we have given evidence of that, incontrovertible evidence, right? We haven't officially said that we brought down X number of Pakistani airplanes. We haven't said that. Now, the claims the Pakistanis have they provided a shred of evidence? A shred. They've provided some social media posts, some Reddit posts of some plane crash and some past date, maybe 2011 or 2014 or 2017 or 2022 or something. Old plane crashes, old debris they are showing, and they're trying to Photoshop them to make them look like they are current things. Have they shown a single piece of credible, verifiable, incontrovertible evidence to back it up? Zero, nothing. So the CNN is lying. Now the question is, why are the Americans lying? Respected American analysts are lying right now, and claiming that India lost 5 aircraft on the first day and all that sort of utter manure, horse manure. Why are they doing this? It's because possibly see, maybe if if we downed Pakistani aircraft, then it means that our Russian and French technology brought those aircraft down, right? And the Pakistanis use Chinese and American technology. So you have to build that up. So it's about damage control. It's about perception management. It's to the Americans and the French don't get along. I'll tell you that. The French do not have a good opinion of the Americans. The French actually see the Americans as adversaries. Okay, and there is no interoperability between the French intelligence agencies and the US. Very little. So the Americans are obviously playing this game of perception management. India is not an official US ally, right? So, and Pakistan historically has been an official US ally. And the Pakistanis use F-16s and a lot of other American equipment. And you have American technicians on Pakistani air bases 24 by 7 by 365 tending to those F-16s, right? So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why the Americans have been peddling these blatant lies which have zero verifiability. And if they think this is what's going to make us buy the F-35, it's going to have the exact opposite effect. I think what India should do is buy a whole bunch of Rafales. The Rafale clearly works. Yeah, buy a whole bunch of Rafales, the 4.5 generation fighter plane with all those long range, super long range missiles. Buy 100, buy 200 of those. Or if you don't want to buy Rafales, maybe you can think of the Russian Sukhoi 57 in case it is any good. Maybe it is some good, possibly, right? Let the experts decide how good or how not so good or whatever, what the quality is and which is best suited for us. We know how to use the Rafale. We've been using it for quite some time. I think it's a pretty impressive aircraft from whatever I know, whatever I see. So maybe we should just buy the Rafale in large numbers, and in the meanwhile, develop the advanced medium combat aircraft, the fifth generation fighter plane we are developing. I promise you, the only issue is the fighter jet. Otherwise, bri- you know, we're gonna put out a top class aircraft. I think now at least Indians should trust India's engineers and scientists and weapons designers after what we have seen the past 3 days. So yeah, that's what I think about this. Now, Geopolitical Dubey says, don't you think we should have a proper tool or mechanisms like China or Western countries to propagate our narrative? We should. We should have our own propaganda outlets. The Chinese have multiple propaganda outlets, the Global Times and whatever and whatever, whatever. The West has this whole horde, this whole ecosystem of propaganda outlets like the BBC, like the Guardian, like the CNN, like Fox News, like New York Times, Washington Post. The list just goes on and on. We have nothing. Why the hell do we have nothing? So yeah, that needs to happen. Absolutely needs to happen. And Singh says ceasefire violation. Apparently, there's a ceasefire violation happening right now. I think we should hammer the Pakistanis hard. Hammer them hard. Okay. Space KGB agent makes a good question. Asks a good question. The Scalp Storm Shadow missile used in war is worth $2.5 million a piece. So one missile is $2.5 million. Is it worth spending that much money for one missile? Well, it depends on what you use it for. If you take a $2.5 million missile, and you launch it at a $100,000 drone, that is stupidity. Because the drone is worth $100,000 and the missile is 25 times more expensive. Stupidity. But what if you launch that $2.5 million missile at a $100 million target? Or in the case of Pakistan, $10 million target, because they won't have anything worth $100 million. So it depends on what you're using it for. You see, please understand, every weapon in our arsenal, in our toolkit, has a specific purpose. We're not using $2.5 million missiles to take out some $100,000 target. The S400 is a very expensive system. Do you think we use it to shoot down those little drones coming in? No, no. Please understand, everything has its use and purpose, and we know exactly how to use each of these tools. Kunal Gadia says, why can't we make a steel border with Pakistan and permanently seal it, just like the US-Mexico border? Same with Bangladesh border. Look, the terrain is very difficult. If you look at the India-Pakistan terrain, some of it is like pure desert. Some of it is different kinds of things. And when it comes to POK, why should we build a wall between us and our own territory? And anyway, Pakistan is a temporary nation. In the future, it breaks up. Then we'll have to dismantle the wall because of whatever reasons. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. And it's super expensive. And if you're trying to build a wall, do you think the Pakistanis will sit and let us do it? They'll create some mischief, like the ceasefire violations are happening, that sort of thing. So it's not practical or feasible. Tanmay says, do you think things would have been different if Joe Biden was president, or it would have been much worse for us? It would have been much worse for us. He would have taken Pakistan's side from the day one, and he may have even imposed sanctions on India from day one. He may even have sent reinforcements to, not reinforcements, but supplies and whatnot to Pakistan. It's possible. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Oh God, I have not thought of her for a while. Yeah, they were virulently anti-India. Okay. Karan Singh says, "Why is the international media so biased against India in its narrative? It's a lot of reasons, historical reasons. The West sees India as the enemy. The West doesn't want to see India rise. The West says, 'How dare you still stand on your own feet and try to become a great nation after 250 years of British occupation? How dare you? How dare you still have your own culture and civilization? How dare you not have converted to what we have wanted to convert to? And how dare you be independent? How dare you not become our vassal?' And so many other things. So they are super biased against us. That's how it is." Um, okay. Devarsh says, "Can you do some analysis about Kirana Hill's strike from the video?" Look, I am not an expert in geolocation and all those little details and all that, so I can speak about it from a distance, from a larger perspective. Okay. I'm not somebody who's well versed in those angles of attack and which direction the thing came from. And let's take a look at the pictures and videos that we have, and let's analyze this trail. And that's not what I am an expert in. Uh, what I can say is that I discussed this yesterday as well. Kirana Hills is about 100 something kilometers from the border. It's between it's in Pakistani Punjab, about 100 something kilometers from Amritsar, roughly, right? And it's a location where the Pakistanis have stored have it's an underground location deep inside a hill, which is a Pakistani nuclear warhead storage site. So the Pakistanis may have been thinking that it's completely secret, but we showed them it's not secret at all, and we kind of scored a very direct hit at perhaps the entrance of the tunnel. So it was a message to Pakistan. That's what I can say. I'll not analyze in further detail. Now, Sumit Morkar says, "Was this a perfect time to use the Tejas aircraft? Even if it turned out not so great, we would have still got a lot of information and scope of improvements from a battle-tested aircraft." I can't speculate about that. I am not. The Tejas aircraft is quite different, and it has a very specific role. It doesn't have long legs. It doesn't have long legs like the Sukhoi 30. The Sukhoi 30 has super long legs. What it means is it has got very long endurance. The fuel tanks will hold fuel for, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 kilometers, perhaps, whatever it is. Very long legs. The Tejas has shorter legs, so it is used for a different role. Every aircraft has a certain role to play. Now, I'm not sure what specificities of the battle plans were when it comes to this current the past this recently paused 3-day war, but obviously the Air Force decided that we wanted to use certain aircraft. Now, I'm not sure which aircraft have been used. There's all kinds of speculations on social media and the legacy media. But have you seen any statement from the government or the military or the Air Force that we used so and so kind of aircraft, that we used hypothetically the Sukhoi 30, or hypothetically the Mirage 2000, or hypothetically the Rafale, or whatever else? They have made no official statements of any kind. So who knows? Maybe the Tejas was used and they've not spoken about it. We don't know, right? We don't know. So let's not start assuming things. People are assuming all kinds of things. All kinds of speculations are flowing on in the media. They have no evidence to back it up. So, okay. Pratham Agarwal says, what are my thoughts on India fast tracking surveillance based satellites program, the SBS program, after the Operation Sindoor, from 4 to 5 years to 12 to 18 months? What is SBS and what are their future benefits? I have no idea about what the satellites do, because I have no access to this information. Obviously, I am a civilian like everybody else. But let's discuss what surveillance satellites do. What's a surveillance satellite? There are so surveillance satellites are eyes in the sky. Uh, they have capabilities like they can track what's happening geographically in a certain area. Okay, they can peer through clouds. Let's say, even if it's cloudy, if it's the Indian rainy season, they can peer through the clouds and see what's happening on the ground. They have such capabilities. Okay, and they can see things in various wavelengths. The visual the human eyes wavelength, the visible wavelength, that spectrum. They can see things in other wavelengths also, which are not visible to the human eye, in various bands and frequencies and all that. and they can have very sharp resolution, like from space, 200, 300 kilometers above the surface. They may be able to pick up something the size of a cell phone, perhaps. So you can really keep an eye on what's happening, and they can possibly track troop movements. They can track possibly the movement of specific individuals, all of that in real time, and that sort of thing. So typically these are called spy satellites. Historically, in the 20th century, they were called spy satellites. Now, spy satellites typically are low Earth orbit satellites. Typically, okay, not always. You can always have exceptions. I'm just saying generally. So generally, a spy satellite may hypothetically be at an altitude of 200, 300 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. And because of that, because they are not geostationary, so they will just pass through an area over and over again, once every 90 minutes or so. So it makes sense to have multiple satellites. So every time a satellite goes over a location, it doesn't go blank for 90 minutes. Soon you should have another satellite coming in. So that sort of capability you want to have. I'm just saying this generally. I'm not saying we have exactly what I'm discussing here. What India, the capabilities India has are classified. So that's the kind of thing a surveillance based satellite is like, and that's the kind of thing it does. And it may do other things also. It may track the American Vela satellites from the 1970s or 60s or whatever it was. They had a very, very, very specific function. they their function was to look for double flashes on the surface of the planet. Double flashes. What's a double flash? It's an initial very brief flash and then a slow greater flash. That's the signature of an atmospheric nuclear weapons test. And they ended up detecting gamma ray bursts, which is an astrophysical phenomenon that is a very it's something that's very much an area of interest today in astrophysics, but we're talking about something else here. So satellites have different purposes, and they have all kinds of capabilities. They can detect gamma rays. They can detect gamma rays are just light in a different frequency, and so on. So that's what surveillance based satellites do. They are essentially eyes in the sky. They are spy satellites, and they have different purposes. So if we are fast tracking it, it's fantastic. We need more eyes in the sky to cover different parts of our geographical neighborhood, not just west, also east, also north, also the Indian Ocean region. We'll have maritime based satellites, satellites dedicated to the needs and requirements of the Indian Navy. They will have some satellites dedicated to the needs and requirements of the Indian Air Force, the Indian Armed Forces, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So that's what SBS satellites do, and it's interesting that we are now fast tracking the program, which is good. We need to fast track a lot of things. Okay. Bot Gaming says Pakistan developed the nuclear program and capabilities with the help of the West and China. Wouldn't it be foolish to assume that they don't have plans uh, to be implemented if Pakistan goes brrr against them with nuclear weapons? The Pakistani nuclear program is only and only aimed at India. It has it is never going to be aimed at the West. And the Pakistanis don't even have the capability to target the West with the nuclear weapons, because their missiles are all India specific missiles with a range that can target India and possibly Iran. And that's more or less like it. That's the point of targeting Central Asia or the Gulf region. No point, right? It's all about India. Now the West, no, the Americans, forget about the West. The Americans will have a very specific set of contingency plans about Pakistan's nukes. So it's called the worst case scenario planning. What if Pakistan disintegrates and the nuclear weapons start floating around? And some of them fall into the hands of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Some fall in the hands of the Balochistan Liberation Army. Some fall in the hands of the ISIS, and some fall in the hands of Al Qaeda, and some Jaish, whatever the hell, and something, whatever these terrorist groups are named, right? Lashkar something, and so on. So that's a nightmare scenario. If nukes start floating around like this and in the hands of the worst possible individuals, human beings on the planet of the Earth, on the surface of the planet. So the Americans will have something called a worst case scenario. If something like this is happening, they will swoop in and they will salvage the nuclear weapons. That's gonna be the plan. So yeah, they have these contingency plans, the worst case scenario plans for sure. They don't discuss these things, they don't talk about it, but it's there. Okay, Lucky Singh says ceasefire violations in the Samba sector. Very nice, Pakistan. I think the Pakistanis are asking for it. Krishna says, will Trump not take it to the ego after Pakistani U-turn on ceasefire, which Pakistanis have literally begged for? I think the Pakistanis are playing true to their nature, true to form, right? And if something happens, then they will blame India. So I think right now it's for India to somehow hold the line, or if India chooses, then we can simply blame Pakistan and let them have it, I suppose. Yeah, so it's for our leadership to decide how to go about dealing with Pakistan's provocations. And once again, Spandan says ceasefire violated. Right. Okay. What to do? Um, Rangers Wolf says while Russia is focused on its own priorities, how do you think Russia views the India-Pakistan war conflict and Russia's relationship with Pakistan? See, all geopolitical relationships are based on self-interest, national interest. There was a time when the Russians were kind of cozying up to Pakistan in the 2010s, in the second half of the 2010s. Um, so I think around 2015, 2016, around that time, the Russians and Pakistanis started this yearly military exercise, joint military exercises called the Druzhba exercises. Druzhba means friendship in Russian. So they called their military exercises friendship exercises. And they were being held once a year, all the way until 2021. What happened in 2022, I wonder? The exercises stopped. Yeah, because of geopolitical expediency, because the Russians needed India on their side, or at least to be neutral after the special military operation against Ukraine was implemented. You see how it goes. So they were trying to be friends with Pakistan. They even sold Pakistan some equipment, helicopters, military helicopters and such like, right? So understand that if you are strong, if you are powerful, if you are if you are valuable, if you are of some good use, then everybody will want to be your friend. But if you are perceived to be weak and not worth, not very valuable, then even your old friends may turn away and seek new friends. So that's a history lesson vis-a-vis this question. Now, Russia currently has its own priorities. It is embroiled in this never-ending war with Ukraine, right? Trump wanted to end it, didn't work. Initially, Trump and Putin tried to end it, but the European nations came in the way, and now Trump seems to have tired of whatever is happening, and he is no longer interested in negotiating a ceasefire or helping to negotiate a ceasefire. He's now interested in Ukraine's mineral wealth, the minerals deal that he has had Zelensky sign with him, right? So Russia has this ongoing war, this slow war scenario, long war scenario that's unfolding on its southwestern frontier, the Ukraine region, right? And Russia, because of this, has faced a lot of difficulties. They have been able to withstand the economic siege warfare the Americans have unleashed on them, which is called sanctions. And because of that, they have been forced to become overly dependent on China. So I would not say that Russia has become a Chinese vassal, but Russia is very dependent on China and a small number of other nations uh, for various things. So it's China, it's North Korea, it's Iran. That's about it, right? And India has remained neutral and very autonomous and independent in this matter. And we probably are the biggest buyer of Russian oil right now. So we have acted as a pressure release valve for Russia, without which they would have become an actual Chinese vassal. But in the China-Russia relationship, they are kind of a junior partner, Russia. Okay, so Russia is it finds itself in a situation where it's a junior partner to China because of China's enormous economic clout. So that's the deal with Russia. Now, how does Russia view the India-Pakistan conflict? Russia will want India to do well because that gives us more leverage over Pakistan, over China. Now, China will be kind of more worried about India. In just 3 4 days, everything has changed. Before the India-Pakistan the 3 day war started, China would have been very confident about potential future military uh, action against India. Today, they'll be super worried, right? So that will make Russia happy. It gives Russia more leverage. It gives Russia more options. But Russia is not in a position to come and mediate or interfere or anything. They'll sit and look from afar, and they'll be happy about what's happened. Because Russia and China, they have this modus vivendi right now. They have this arrangement, which is not quite an alliance, but Russia and China are long term natural adversaries. So, right. Harsh Kumar says, all the damage done to Pakistan, won't they recover from it within months using loan money? Was this really our objective? I feel we weren't able to achieve what we truly intended. Look, when it comes to Pakistan, the objective for India is to balkanize Pakistan. It's to end the threat of the military ISI terrorism complex, the one unified entity which has multiple faces: military, ISI, and terrorists. It's the same thing. So our objective, obviously, naturally, the natural objective is to end that. It's to destroy that completely. The objective for India is to once and for all permanently end the threat that the Pakistan terror industry poses for India. And the Pakistan terror industry is the military industry, the ISI industry, all of that together. So we have to dismantle Pakistan. We have to balkanize Pakistan. That is the only way that things will end for us in our on our terms. And we could have been 24 to 48 hours from achieving at least the liberation of POK. Yeah. Uh, but Trump came in the way. And Modi is very angry about that, I can tell you. So our objective was much bigger than this. But Trump came in the way, and you can't do a thing when the Americans come in the way. Okay? So stop crying about this. Many Indians are very unhappy. Come on, deal with it. This is the real world. We have to accept certain things like grown-ups. Right? Two guys are fighting. I'm defeating my enemy, but a 28-foot guy comes in the way. Then what will I do? Can't do a thing about it. I'm only 6 feet. He's 28 feet tall. The other guy was 2 feet tall, so I could have bashed him up. And so that's the kind of thing. So all this damage that has been done to Pakistan, they will buy, beg, borrow, steal whatever they can, and they will repair the damage. They will recover from it within 6 months. The runways, they will repair them in the next, I don't know, week, 2 weeks. Uh, the aircraft they will have lost, that will be much harder to replace those. The nuclear warheads they may or may not have lost, that will be very hard to replace. But whatever they can recover, they will recover using loan money, begging money, whatever. And probably within 6 months they'll be back to where we were, and they may then restart their terrorist misadventures, possibly even before that, who knows. But this time it's going to be different. This time, if they indulge in terrorism, they're going to pay a very, very heavy price. And this time, probably even Trump will not be able to come in the way. So, yeah. Saridhya Kumar says, should Bharat join GCAP, sixth generation fighter jet program with Italy, Japan, and England? Should India join this? If India joins, what are the implications for India and US, as Japan is US vassal? If you join this, then you are essentially going to be compromised if you use that technology, because that technology will be um, there's going to be clauses in that technology and so on that you have to sign first of all to participate, and all of that will be essentially pro US. So if you see these sixth generation fighter planes, etc., they use something called network centric warfare. So these fighter planes, they have this integrated battle space, which comes from all kinds of sensors which all talk to each other. So you have a loitering drone that is talking to your fighter plane, which is talking to your radar, which is talking to something else. So it's a whole, you get this integrated view of the battle space from all these signals that are collected together and synthesized. So the sixth generation fighter plane, if you want it to if you want to participate in that, then you will have to buy other weapons and other radar systems and other whatnot from them. And all of that, the Americans will be in a position to surveil, right? And it will have backdoors and kill switches and whatnot. So you're going to be compromised if you buy this. The best thing to do is to develop your own technology step by step by step, right? So we have the Tejas fighter plane, which is what, 3.5, fourth generation, whatever it is, maybe fourth generation. Then you improve upon that by building the AMCA, which is a fifth generation fighter plane. Then in 10 years, you build a sixth generation fighter plane, because you learn the lessons each time from whatever you're developing. That's the right way to go about it. In the meanwhile, in the interim, while we don't have the fifth generation fighter plane, you buy a bunch of Rafales or Sukhois or whatever you want, whatever is best for India, depending on what the experts decide is best for us. That's how you do it. You should. I don't think India should join any of these collaborative programs or any such thing. India should go its own way independently. Yashwant says Russia offered joint production of the S-500 system with India. Should India now use this opportunity to completely move away from any possibility of purchasing US weapons? I think India should consider this very seriously. If we are offered joint production of the S-500, it should mean that we get a complete transfer of technology, right? And then we can possibly manufacture it in India and even manufacture it for Russian usage. And the S-500 will be superior even to the Russian S-400. So I think it's a if it's a good deal they are offering to us with a full transfer of technology, we should very seriously consider it. Very seriously, absolutely. Okay, your boy Pasta says ceasefire violation and drone sightings at multiple places. Yeah, Punjab, Samba, Jammu and Kashmir, and whatnot. Terrible, terrible, terrible. The Pakistanis are asking. They're asking for another whooping. Maybe we should give them what they desire. Right. Serpent Blade 870 says boron possibly from Egypt, U.S. nuclear detection aircraft. I saw wind from Null School considered nuke reaction radiation leak locally. Also, would it be prudent to attack ordnance factories and naval assets? It's prudent to attack everything that helps the enemy. Everything is fair game. That's fine. Now, this boron, look, we know that some aircraft came from Egypt, some aircraft came from the US. The American aircraft is associated with checking for nuclear radiation leaks and all that. That we know, right? Uh, I don't know if the aircraft that came from Egypt contains boron. I don't know how do we know that? Did they tell the world, hey, 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 we are sending boron to Pakistan via the US? Did they say anything like that? So I don't know about the boron. Boron is obviously uh, used in nuclear reactors for slowing down nuclear reactions. So yeah, it certainly can help in absorbing radiation and possibly damping radiation. So if it is true, then it's interesting. It would indicate that we have actually hit something very sensitive. But I'm not sure if we have actual hard evidence that boron has been flown in from Egypt. Uh, They just says it's high time to start investing more in building in-house military equipments and drones. Also start investing heavily in social media narrative. Absolutely, all these things need to happen in parallel. We have now seen firsthand in real time during war, during battles, that our indigenous technology is second to none. It's probably some of the best in the world. The Atmanirbhar technology that we have been developing the past few years. And I'll tell you, whatever we have achieved, all of this, just compare it with what our situation was in 2019. Like I was saying yesterday, in 2019, we did not do that well during the Balakot airstrikes. We did not film the airstrikes. We did not film. We were not able to produce any video evidence like we have done this time. Copious evidence, right? We were using MiG 21s. One of them went down on the Pakistani side, POK side, right? We were outmaneuvered. We made a mistake, and we ended up shooting down one of our own helicopters, right? In 2019. This time, look at India. In 6 years, how much has changed in our military capabilities? Who do you thank for that? I thank Prime Minister Modi. Wouldn't have happened under anybody else. So I think we need to continue this. The Atmanirbhar Bharat, Atmanirbhar military uh, program needs to be carried forward. Now we need to invest more money into this. I think it's time to double our military budget. It's high time, I think, to seriously consider doubling our military budget or at least increasing by 50% for the next 5-10 years. Needs to happen. Needs to happen. Imagine what we can do with a double budget. Imagine how much more Atmanirbhar technology will be able to build and supply our armed forces with. Yeah, so I think we have some of the best drone manufacturers in the world, I think, now in India. That's great. So that needs to get a real boost, a real fillip economically, financially, right? And obviously we need to obviously also invest heavily in our soft hard power, which is the social media narrative propaganda. capabilities. Looks like we are not very good at that right now, and it's very clear that we are not. So that also needs to happen. Yes, I completely agree with what Tejas is saying over here. Um, okay, Anand says, didn't Modi just say we would have had complete control over any terrorist camp in POK in Pakistan? If Pakistan doesn't want this, then they have to dispose of it. That does that just mean that India is just cleaning POK now? Okay, I'm not sure if that was the implication of what Prime Minister Modi was saying. What Mr. Modi said is that we destroyed a whole lot of terrorist camps, and if Pakistan continues terrorism, then we will destroy everything else as well. That's essentially what Prime Minister Modi said. And he said that if we talk to Pakistan, we'll talk only about terrorism and POK. Nothing else is to be spoken about. There's no other item on the agenda if we ever have talks with Pakistan. That's what he said. I'm not sure about cleaning POK or any such thing right now. He made it very clear to Pakistan. Any future or further terrorist activity is gonna invite very, very heavy and painful action from India. Okay. Um, we'll not discuss the economy right now, but we'll discuss the India Pakistan matter. Anurag says live drone attack again. Look, I am not watching the news, so I cannot confirm anything. But you guys need to tell me what's happening because I'm right now focusing on your questions. I'm not multitasking. By I don't have a command center here with like 28 different screens and I'm looking at them all. Okay, here there are drone sightings. Here there is ceasefire violation. No, I'm looking here. So I don't know if there's confirmation. You guys let me know, and I will react to that if required. Um, Dharam G Edits says, got information right now from inside Pakistan that the drones are still coming in from flights via Turkey and indirect routes. Pakistanis are using all that on us. Yes, that's our good friends the Turks. When the Turks, when there were earthquakes, devastating earthquakes in Turkey, we sent from the goodness of our heart, we sent rescuers, we sent equipment, we sent medicines, we sent our NDRF, National Disaster teams. We sent doctors to help the people of Turkey free of cost. Right? We did that for Turkey out of the goodness of our heart. And how does Turkey repay us? By supplying Pakistan with deadly weapons to be used against India. So please, my friends, boycott Turkey, boycott Turkey, boycott Azerbaijan, boycott these two terrorist friendly nations, boycott them. You want to go on holiday, go to Greece. If you want to see the Mediterranean coast, go to Greece, go to Italy, go to Kefalonia, go to the Greek islands, the Aegean Sea Islands, the Ionian Sea Islands, go to Sardinia, go to these nations. Do not visit Turkey. Do not waste your hard earned money on a nation that supports your enemy. Do not visit Azerbaijan. There are other places that you can visit. If you want recommendations, I'll give you recommendations. So, yeah, that's what we need to do. Suraj says, won't Trump again threaten us with trade in future if Pakistan pesters India? Can Trump interfere in our discussions on POK with Pakistan? How to overcome this? So the next time we decide to take military action, we need to do it very rapidly, lightning strikes, and inflict much worse damage than we've done this time. So it's going to take some time for them to reactivate their air defenses. And anyway, the air defenses don't work. So yeah, it's gonna be difficult to some extent if we take our time in retaliating to whatever Pakistan does in the future. It should be decisive. It should be very rapid. It should be crippling. It's Pakistan was already crippled right now. They have no air defenses. They're still helpless. Right now, we can just fly over Pakistan and they will not be able to hit you. So yeah, we'll have to do that again, I suppose. Krishna says today's army briefing was quite chilled out. I didn't get the reason why it was held. They didn't provide much details. Any reason for holding it? I did not watch it, but there must be some good reason for holding it. It's not about like what we have on India's TV networks that we have to shout and do all that. There are good reasons for doing all these things. It's about putting things on the record and so on. So, yeah, I'm sure there was a good reason for it. I will not take questions about religion, etc. That's not what I do. So please don't ask that. Please ask better questions. Questions pertinent to the situation. Uh, Nikhil says, why did Modi ji agree to ceasefire? On what conditions? What are some points, according to you, that Modi ji knew but are not in the public domain? If there is something that Modi ji knows and it is not in the public domain, I am not supposed to discuss it. And secondly, I don't know what Modi ji knows which is not in the public domain. So I can discuss what is there in the public domain and analyze the situation and draw inferences for it. Right? Okay. Once again, this question by Sush. Was this a perfect question to use a Tejas aircraft? Even if it turned out not so great, we still would have still got a lot of information and scope of improvements from a battle tested aircraft. Now, once again, let me reiterate, we don't know which aircraft we used. Maybe the Tejas was used. I don't know, right? We don't know. You have all these YouTubers and social media channels and media channels who are speculating wildly without having any actual information. The government of India, the army, the air force have not put out any statement about which aircraft were involved in the operation. So why are we speculating what was used, what was not used? How do you know? How do these media channels know what was used or what was not used? Let's not speculate like that. So maybe it was used and maybe we have some information. Um okay, what other questions? 180 days transformation, that's a good thing. 6 months transformation. uh, do you think India's action of often banning world media like BBC, Al Jazeera could be one of the reasons why the world media is portraying India as bad? No, it's the other way around. We have to sometimes block these channels because of their attitude towards India. It's not the other way around, it is this way around. Okay. um Divi Chaudhary says, is there a possibility of India using ASAT weapons against Pakistan? Now, that's an interesting question. Does Pakistan have spy satellites? Does Pakistan have these deep surveillance satellites positioned over Indian territory? If such satellites do exist, then it could make sense for us to use our ASAT weapon and blow those satellites to bits. But I don't think Pakistan has those capabilities. So, so it doesn't make sense to use those, right? Now, the ASAT weapon can be used for other purposes also, like destroying an incoming ballistic missile. So, in that case, you could perhaps use the kill vehicle of the ASAT weapon for that purpose. But the Pakistanis don't have any such satellites that they can use to spy upon India. That's why we haven't used them. Now, Theodore says, why aren't we retaliating to the drone attacks? I think that's a question for the government to answer. I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening right now. It looks like the Pakistanis are violating the ceasefire over and over again in small ways, but we'll see. Uh, Chirag Shetty says, do you think our Prime Minister's speech humiliated or angered Asim Munir? Hence the drone attack now. Will Asim Munir have Hitler's downfall this time? I don't care whether it angered the fellow or whatever, or it humiliated him. Pakistan is humiliated. Pakistan is on its knees with its pants down, essentially. Right? Right now, they are helpless. They are defenseless. They have no air defenses. Their runways are cratered. They can't even have their fighter planes take off or land over there. They are completely exposed right now. They are totally humiliated. Um, and if the Prime Minister's speech humiliated them further, so be it. Of course, it was humiliating to rub it in their faces, right? And maybe that's why the drone attacks are happening right now. If the drone attacks cross a certain limit, I'm sure we're going to retaliate again. Will Asim Munir have Hitler's downfall this time? Let the gods decide. Let the gods decide what happens to Asim Munir. The thing is, look, why are we obsessing about Asim Munir? Let's say he has a downfall. Then somebody else will come in his place who will be as bad as him. Another terrorist will take his place. What difference does it make to you whether it is Asim Munir or whoever else at the head of the Pakistani terror machine? What difference does it make to you? Makes no difference. The only way it will make a difference is if they are all eliminated. Right. Okay. Cease Dones. I don't know what Dones is, but ceasefire biorelation. What's a ceasefire cheese? What's a cheesefire biorelation? I've never seen that term in my entire life. I've seen a lot of things in my life. Cheesefire biorelation. I commend you, sir, or ma'am, whoever you are. Cheesefire biorelation. Um, Nishant Singh says, why doesn't India support the Kurds at the UN and support Greece openly? There are good reasons for that. There are, look, at this time we are not that big a power that we can go around pushing everybody else around and throwing our weight around. Let's mind our business, look at where our national interest is, and focus only on that. That's what we need to do. I know it is part of our peripheral interests. Yeah, that's this is the problem, because nobody teaches the national interest in school, college, university. So you have no idea. There are there's a set of national interests. There are national interests come in various different categories. There's something called core interests or critical interests, vital interests, core slash critical slash vital. Let's call them vital interests. Those are non negotiable interests. That's one category of national interest. Then there are important interests that are slightly less vital than the vital interest, but they're still quite important. And then there are peripheral interests, but they're all interrelated. So the question of the Kurds and the Greece, etc., that's kind of more peripheral than vital. Greece may be more important and not so peripheral, but definitely not vital. So that's how it goes. We have to classify and categorize things properly. Util Card says, can Pakistan come with better air defense system after some years and attack India again? If so, what should be India's strategy? A good question. It depends on who's going to supply these systems to the Pakistanis. The Chinese have supplied their best system to the Pakistanis, apparently, as far as I can tell, and those systems have failed. Then who else can supply Pakistan with better air defense systems? Will the Russians do it? I don't think the Russians will do it. Doesn't make sense for them to do it. Will the French do it? No way, no way. Will the Americans do it? Now that's a question mark. Yeah, that's a question mark. So yeah, if the Americans supply them with better air defense system, or if the Chinese improve their air defense systems and supply them to Pakistan after, let's say, 6 months, 1 year, then we will have a different set of troubles on our border. Then the Pakistanis may decide to attack India again. So we need to keep an eye on what's happening in Pakistan. We need to have our intelligence operations on top of their game. We need to know exactly what's happening inside Pakistan in real time. We need to have intelligence assets within Pakistan. So we need to do all this, and whatever developments happen, we need to be prepared for them. So it's a cat and mouse game. It's a cat and mouse game. It's an ongoing, never ending game. Rashmi says, Modi has said that if there are any talks with Pakistan, they will either be about Pakistan occupied Kashmir or terrorism. Did he say this indirectly in response to Trump's offer to mediate on the Kashmir issue? I think it was not indirect, it was pretty direct. Right? Trump has made the claim via his minion Marco Rubio that India and Pakistan have agreed that they will hold talks at some neutral venue or something like that, he said. So this is a refutation of the American claim that if we do talk at some point in time with the Pakistanis, the talks will be about Pakistan occupied Kashmir and they'll be about terrorism, nothing else. So this is a refutation of what the Americans are saying. Yeah. So Trump needs to, take it easy. This is none of your business. If you make it your business, then then you're gonna have problems in your relationship with us. Okay. Geopolitical Dubey says there are reports that Gaganyaan mission is delayed again. Okay, I'm not aware of that, but we will see. We'll see about that. I'll check it out. This is something that definitely interests me, as I'm sure you know. So thank you for letting me know. I'll check it out. Singh says, on the one hand, sir, you say that the Indian defense system is the best in the world. On the other, you say the Indian forces cannot be compared to even 2000, the American forces of the 2000s. Aren't these completely contradictory? You have to understand nuance. When I was talking about the 2000s America, I was talking about the overall hard power, which is associated with the US military and the Indian military, which is essentially military offensive capability and power projection capability, right? When it comes to the Americans and their air defense system, they have the Patriot system. They also have the Aegis system that is used to, that's a point defense system used for warships. So whenever there's a US uh, aircraft carrier task force battle group that goes out somewhere, there's an aircraft carrier, and there's about 10 more, at least 10 more battleships, which form a defensive ring around the aircraft carrier with the Aegis system. Now, the Aegis system, I'm not sure if it's ever been battle tested. Battle tested. It's tested in during the manufacturing and approvals process, sure. But has it ever been battle tested in real combat? When there's incoming fire at you, it's not been tested. The Patriot system, it was battle tested once or twice here and there. It's never taken the it's never faced the quantum of incoming fire like the Akash and other systems faced in the last 3 days, the 3 day war. So what I said is that the Indian air defense system is the world's best battle tested system today. And I stand by what I'm saying. I'm talking about one component of the Indian capabilities. I'm not talking about the overall Indian capabilities. Please learn to appreciate some nuance. It's not contradictory whatsoever. Please learn. Please learn. I want Indians to understand things better. It's important that we understand nuance and small subtleties in things. What can I say? Okay. Let's take more questions. Sibin Raj SB says, how can we tackle America's tariff blackmail in the future? Because India seems to climb the escalation slowly after Pakistan's attack. Is there any other possibility? No, you can. At this point in time, India can do absolutely nothing to counter Trump's tariff blackmail. Take it, deal with it. We are 6 feet tall. The Pakistanis are 2 feet tall. The United States is 28 feet tall. Look at it from that perspective, because nuance doesn't seem to be a forte here. There's nothing we can do for the next 20, 30 years about this. Deal with that. So if this hurts you, then work as hard as you possibly can. All of us, we work as hard as we possibly can to change the situation. Do you understand? This is what is coming in our way. If we had started this process of Atmanirbharta and whatnot in 1947, do you think Trump would come in our way today? So you see, the process started only recently, the last 10 years or so, which is why we are seeing rapid progress. We are no longer the India of 2019. We are today's India, 2025, which is a whole different beast. Imagine where we will be in 2030. So we have to keep up this rate of progress. Today, there is nothing we can do to counter Trump's tariff and trade blackmail. Absolutely nothing. We have to swallow it. And we have to bide our time. That's the deal. That is the deal. Rahul says, we won. Yes, we won. And this was way larger than Kargil. No question about it. This was orders of magnitude larger than Kargil. In Kargil, okay, let's look at the map. Let's look at the map, right? Because that's the right way of understanding what Rahul is pointing out. Where is Kargil? Let's search for Kargil. Kargil. So here we go in. So Kargil is this small location, small geographical location where you have Tiger Hill and whatnot. Okay, there we have it. So it's a small geographical location. Of course, we can zoom out and see it bigger. So that's where the Pakistanis had, in the winter of 98, 99, whichever year it was, they had taken over stealthily some Indian territories and positions. And in this small little location, we had defeated them after a lot of fighting. So that was the Kargil War. Now in 2025, the 3 day war, we have struck Pakistan everywhere, deep inside Pakistani territory. I don't have the list of military installations and terror camps and air force bases and whatever else we've targeted. We have hit them everywhere. We have hit them at will. We've hit them deep inside Pakistan. We've hit them in the heart of the military ISI terrorism complex in Rawalpindi. We have hit Noor Khan airbase. We've destroyed Sargoda. We've hit everything. We've given all the evidence anybody can want about us hitting them. This is way, way, way larger than Kargil. Kargil was nothing compared to this. Nothing to. I'm not trying to take away anything from the bravery of our soldiers who fought the Kargil war, but our capabilities at the time were very different and very limited compared to what we have today. So you see, with economic growth comes military growth, and with military growth comes the kind of result we have seen today. Right? That needs to continue. So what we have achieved is probably the biggest victory since 1971. But there has been no change of the lines on the map. That's the one missing element. In terms of destruction to Pakistan, it was way larger than Kargil, yes. But Pakistan, being Pakistan, they're still spreading the lies that they won. We need to up our PR game. I agree with that. I agree, absolutely. We need to up our PR game. Now, Akshit says, do you think China is unhappy about America's mediation? China is behind the ceasefire violations. I think China is actually happy this stopped. They're not unhappy with with America's mediation. If America had not mediated, today we would be probably in POK and much more. By now, Pakistan would have collapsed probably. So that would be bad for China also. They also have some use for Pakistan. So China is not unhappy about the American mediation, about Trump coming in the way of India's complete victory. They'll actually be happy about it. Is China behind the ceasefire violations? I can't speculate about that. Who knows? Maybe Trump is behind the ceasefire violations. He doesn't seem to be unhappy about the ceasefire violations. He has not tweeted that Pakistan should stop violating the ceasefire. So maybe Trump is behind the ceasefire violations. I can speculate that way also, right? Darshan Shah says, what do you make of these minor drone incursions daily? Is it a reconnaissance? I don't know. It could be. It could be just. It could be the Pakistan is trying to spite India. It could be the Pakistan is trying to taunt India. It could be the Pakistan is trying to provoke India into starting the war again, which makes no sense actually at all. But then Pakistan makes no sense actually at all, right? So I'm not sure, but yeah, it's strange. Paras says, will India buy the S400 if Russia is offering it, as the West may object? The West objected to the S400. When we were purchasing the S400, the Americans were threatening CAATSA sanctions on us. We went ahead and bought it anyway. And I'm sure it's played a role in the 3-day war. And I'm sure it's played a significant role possibly in the 3-day war which we just won. If the Russians are offering the S500 joint production as we hear, I think we should take it very seriously. We should consider it very seriously. And I would actually say we should go ahead and buy it and have the production lines set up in India. Not assembly lines, but production lines. I think we need to go ahead and do this, especially after Trump coming in our way. I think we should go ahead and do that. Priyaranjan says, should India explore chances to widen the Siliguri corridor, considering the Bangladesh-China threat in the northeast? I think we should not open too many fronts of fighting at the same time. We need to be patient. We have so many problems all around. They have internal problems. 100 million Bangladeshis in India, and Rohingyas, and Cookies, and Pakistanis, and God knows what else. So we have to take it one thing at a time. We cannot start fighting 78 different battles at the same time, right? Of course, if the opportunity does present itself on a platter, we should take it. I am not against that, right? But overall, we should not start new things right now. Let's first focus on the Pakistani threat. It still exists, right? Nikhil says, in the future, if India decides to denuclearize Pakistan, how can it be done? As we have already hit the entrance of a nuclear facility, Kirana Hills, shouldn't we completely take away their blackmail? Look, the Pakistani nuclear blackmail is over. If they really had a plan of using nuclear weapons against India when required, don't you think they would have used them in the past 3 days, in the 3-day war? Don't you think they would have used them? We brought them to their knees. We were striking them at will. In 30 minutes, we hit 9 Pakistani air bases, the crown jewels of Pakistan. The air bases, they had so much pride about. We hit them over and over again, 9 air bases in 30 minutes. They were helpless. Our aircraft were flying over their air bases, taunting the Pakistanis. You, at that point in time, if you don't use your nuclear weapons, you're never going to use your nuclear weapons. The Pakistani military blackmail is gone. But of course, the question remains about the Pakistani nuclear warheads, right? So I don't know what the plans are. I am sure we have plans. I'm sure we have contingency plans. We need to have plans, or military needs to have plans, and I'm sure we have them. The plans should be to how to secure the nukes very rapidly if Pakistan is breaking up or something. And I'm sure we have plans in place for that, and I will not discuss them because I'm not aware of them. But let us trust our armed forces. As you can see, they are super professional, super competent, probably the best armed forces in the world. So let's trust them. I'm sure they have the plans in place. Okay. Um, Ishika says Trump gave tariff relaxation to China, and China did the same. Is this connected to the 3 day war? I cannot answer this question at this point in time because I haven't studied this tariff relaxation that's happened apparently quite recently. I haven't studied that yet. I've been focusing on the India Pakistan issue the past few days. So I haven't studied this in detail. I'll have to go ahead and take a look at that. And yeah, then maybe I'll be able to connect the dots. I'm sure everything is to a larger or smaller extent interconnected. So what are the connections? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it's something I'll keep in mind. And maybe next time we can discuss that. Um, Okay, Jayatirth Upadhyay says, I was watching Safran Electronics YouTube. In one of the videos they were saying that they are using 1,000-year-old wax molding technique to build blades of the engine. B roll was Indian deity statue. Okay, okay, interesting for sure. Uh, Minotrika says China recently tested a hydrogen non-nuclear bomb. Can this be a threat to us? I suppose anything can be a threat to us. Any weapon can be used in various contexts, so it can be a threat to us for sure. Yes, I've not seen the details of this test. I've heard of it vaguely. It's a hydrogen-based bomb apparently, but it's a non-nuclear bomb. So there's a nuclear bomb that's called the hydrogen bomb. It's actually a fission fusion thermonuclear bomb. It's got an initial fission reaction that then triggers a secondary fusion reaction, and the fusion reaction has way more energetic output than the fission reaction. It's a two-stage process, roughly speaking: fission, then fusion, thermonuclear bomb, and it was called the hydrogen bomb in the 20th century. Dev Kanwar says drones are being sighted in Jalandhar, Punjab, and Jammu. Why is Pakistan violating the ceasefire? Are they out of their sane minds? Pakistan are crazy. They're crazy. I I don't know how much we will tolerate this. Maybe we should just restart. We should restart. Tina Yadav says red card penalty, etc. Why is Trump silent on the violation of the ceasefire? Why can't he take credit of that? Hate him. Yeah, I don't think Trump has a lot of love or respect in India right now. And what he has done, I think it will never be forgotten. And right now, the Pakistanis are violating the ceasefire, and Trump seems to be perfectly fine with that. So, yeah, like they say in Hindi, sab yaad rakha jayega. Okay, Anant says, हम उस जगह पे जाकर कठोर कार्रवाई करेंगे जहां से उटंक नि, आतंक निकलता है, जो बस ये फीलिंग करता कि बाकी में जो होगा अब वो इंडियो कंट्रोल करेगा, वरना जो भी होगा इन इंडिया के अगेंस्ट द यूएस. I'm not sure what you're saying, sir, but I have taken note of what you said. I tried. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Please, thoda, make it more clear, then I'll understand. Thank you. My fault that I could not understand. Um, McLevin says, "Do you think we beat Pakistan too hard and fast, which made others look bad? Could we have taken the Russian approach? No, it doesn't make sense to take the Russian slow war approach, long war approach that way they are doing in Ukraine. Completely different context, completely different situation. In the case of Pakistan, we need to have a pulse pose war, very rapid advance, take territory, then stop unilaterally. as per our convenience. Before that, obviously, we would take out the air defenses, air force, all that stuff. So it was already done. The situation was perfectly ripe for the next phase, which was the pulse pose war, which is taking back POK. It has to be done very rapidly. Don't give the chance to the enemy. Don't give your enemy the chance to recuperate or get reinforcements. So our scenario is very different from the Russian scenario. Sinan says Pakistan did drone attack again in Samba, Jammu and Kashmir after Honorable Prime Minister's address to the nation. I think they are really testing our patience and asking for it. I think India should perhaps go ahead and restart Operation Sindoor. Duch Atma says, keeping the history of the temporary nation in mind, it's clear that the ceasefire is not for peace, but because the nuclear sites were hit. Do you think the ceasefire is because they tried to push a red button? I don't think they tried to push a red button. Maybe they threatened Trump that we will push the red button. But if they should have pushed it, they should have pushed it long ago. We brought them completely to a state of utter helplessness. If you still don't push the red button, you're never going to push the red button. So the ceasefire is not for peace. It's because the ceasefire is because the Americans interfered. The Americans intervened. See, there is speculation that we hit some nuclear storage sites, which is sites where the Pakistanis had stored nuclear weapons. So it's possible we hit those. We know that Nur Khan most likely has nuclear warheads stored, Nur Khan Air Base, and we hit that very hard. Sargoda, possibly they have nuclear weapons there, possibly. And the Kirana Hills storehouse, there's a set of bunkers deep inside a hill. We hit that. So it looks like we may have hit their nuclear storage sites and some warheads may have been destroyed. Very possible. But there's another angle to this. We hit 9 Pakistani air bases, the crown jewels of Pakistan. We hit 9 air bases in about 30 minutes. Right? Some of these air bases obviously will have F-16s. That's an American fighter plane. Now the Americans, they have technical and other personnel in place in whatever airbase houses F-16s. So wherever you have F-16s in a Pakistani airbase, there is a set of American personnel over there who babysit the F-16s 24/7. They never let the F-16s out of their sight. So if we hit air bases where American technical personnel and other personnel are there, what did we hit? Maybe, possibly, perhaps, that's why the Americans came in the way. There are things that there are multiple reasons why this could have happened. Now, Ashish says, why are they sending drones now? Please make it make sense. Let's assume they're not stupid. Okay, that's another perspective we should take seriously. Let's assume the Pakistanis are not stupid. What's their plan? Is it to drop weapons for terrorists? That could be one plan, but maybe the terrorists have been neutralized. When the warfare is happening, we can do whatever we want. Maybe it's not to drop weapons for terrorists. Is it for doing reconnaissance? I think reconnaissance is not needed. They know exactly what's happening on India's side, right? Maps are available, satellite imagery is available. Everybody has that. Commercial satellite imagery is available, which is pretty detailed. And during the 3-day war, they sent hundreds of drones. So reconnaissance would have been done. The drones not only are used to drop weapons and bombs and whatnot, but also even if it's a suicide drone, it can collect intelligence and do reconnaissance. So that's already done. So why are they sending drones now? I think they are trying to provoke India into starting the war again. And they know that India has committed to Trump that we will honor the ceasefire. So they're taunting us. They're provoking us. And they're trying to see how far we will go. And if something starts again, then maybe they can have Trump get angry and blame India for it. Maybe that's the kind of play they are doing. Aditya Singh Thakur says, my father in army is posted in Satwari, Jammu. He said more than 23 battalions are called in Jammu and Kashmir. Is something big going to happen? We'll see about that. I cannot speculate. Ichinose Senpai says a former RAW official said that India has destroyed Pakistan's nuclear arsenal, and all recent earthquakes were caused by Indian missiles striking their nuclear sites. What are my thoughts? I am not a RAW official, so I cannot speculate further beyond what he is saying. Possible, maybe not, maybe yes. Don't know. There have been earthquakes recently, so it is not impossible what you are saying. That's what I can say. Shri Ramachandraya Namaha says, why do Russians sell their weapons to China? China reverse engineers everything. You have no idea how much they reverse engineer everything. I have a list somewhere of every weapon the Chinese have reverse engineered. They have reverse engineered everything. My question is, why can't we do that? Anyway, coming back to this question, which is a good question. Why are the Russians still selling their weapons to China? Like they have sold the S400 to the Chinese. I can assure you the Chinese will try and reverse engineer that as well. See, right now, Russia has very little friends left. The whole of the West is against Russia, right? And all the other non Western nations, most of them are arm twisted into being away from Russia. It's only China, Iran, North Korea that are with Russia, more or less officially. North Korean soldiers are fighting in the Ukraine war. Iran is selling Shahed to drones to the Russians, and China and Russia are cooperating uh, in a whole variety of ways. So these are the allies that the Russians have. They had Syria as well, but Assad is gone. So the West has taken over Syria, and they have placed a professional head chopper as the so-called president of Syria. Apart from these countries, Russia has India kind of on its side because we value our age-old relationship, time-tested relationship with Russia. Uh, but we are not official allies with Russia, and we are also dealing with the West in our own way. So at this point in time, the only major hefty nation the Russians have on their side is China, and because of these reasons, they have to make some compromises when it comes to China. If they had the choice, they would not sell these weapons to China, given the Chinese track record of reverse engineering everything. But right now, they are in a tight spot. Um, Om says, why deny a strike on nuclear facilities when the Prime Minister says we are not afraid of it? Because you always keep strategic ambiguity. You always keep things ambiguous. Why do you have to put it out there in the public? No need for it. That's what grown-ups do. Yeah, we will not discuss Instagram stories today. Amisha says, can you explain the role of ISRO in Operation Sindoor? ISRO was not involved directly in Operation Sindoor, but ISRO puts up the satellites in space, right? In Earth orbit. And the satellites, some of them are designed and built in ISRO, some of them are designed and built in various other locations and assembled together somewhere else. And ISRO does the final assembly of the space of the satellite within the fairing system of the rocket and all of that stuff. So the satellites, our surveillance satellites, our so-called spy satellites, ISRO is very much connected to those, either directly or indirectly. Definitely directly in the sense that we ISRO has placed them in orbit. So that's as much as I can tell you. I don't think beyond that there was any direct other role of ISRO in Operation Sindoor. But without ISRO and without this capability of rockets that can launch satellites, and without this technical capability of constructing extremely powerful high-end satellites, we would not be in the same position today, uh, even regarding Operation Sindoor. I am pretty sure that the satellite and remote sensing capabilities played a very big role in Operation Sindoor, but that won't be spoken about. Okay. All right. Aryaman says, I listen to both press briefings by Pakistan and India. See, we Indians want to listen to everybody before we draw our conclusions. That's the thing about Indians. It's a good thing to have. So I am confused about who won. They also claim they won. They also presented satellite pictures. They said they targeted our S400 and destroyed the BrahMos. See, I'll tell you something, Ariman. In case you're not a student, in case you're a grown up and you have your own money and all, purchase a 1 month subscription of commercial satellite imagery. It will not be very cheap, but it won't be super expensive. It will not cost you an arm and a leg. So purchase a 1 month subscription. You can cancel after 1 month. Purchase a 1 month subscription of any high quality commercial satellite imagery, which has images that are refreshed every day or every week or something. And then look at the latest satellite images of all the places the Pakistanis claim to have damaged or hurt or hit or destroyed. Make your own conclusions based on what you see. I am telling you, the Pakistanis are lying. Now, fact check what I am saying. Go ahead, do this, and come to your own conclusions. I'm telling you, the Pakistanis are lying. They are making all kinds of claims. They are using doctored images, they are using photoshopped images, and most of the images they have not even been able to show. They said that they hit so many places in India. Show us the proof, Baba. Show us. They haven't been able to do that. So my point is, it is good to be skeptical. It is a good practice to be skeptical about all kinds of claims. And then you need to cross verify for yourself. You need to do the fact checking for yourself. Now, I am making the claim that Pakistanis are lying, and we are not. And I'm telling you how you can verify for yourself. So please, sir, Ariman ji, please go ahead and do that. That's how we will know who's really telling the truth and who's really lying. Jack Sparrow says, how do blackouts work? I mean, why do we need blackouts in cities today? The militaries have advanced GPS systems in current times. So why do you need blackouts? Why? You see, there is something called GPS jamming, my friends. You need to learn about these things if you're interested in military matters. There is something called GPS jamming. You can jam the GPS of incoming drones or missiles or whatever aircraft. You can do that. You can jam. The Americans have dedicated fighter planes with electronic warfare suites on them, which do all this jamming. It's possible we also may have GPS jamming capabilities and electronic warfare capabilities. So, in case the incoming drone is now blind, it has no access to GPS, it will still try and strike something, right? And then it'll, maybe it's a remote control drone with a camera on it. Then it will look for where is the light. In that case, does it not make sense to black everything out? Please look, think one layer deeper than what is apparent at first, at face value. And now that you're mentioning GPS, that's an interesting thing you mentioned. You're mentioning GPS here, right? Interesting point that you brought out, which has come to my mind now. Do you think our drones, our missiles use GPS? Do you think the Indian Harop drones, other kamikaze drones, loitering munitions, etc., do you think Indian missiles, BrahMos missile, whatever else, do you think they use GPS technology, global positioning system, which belongs to the United States? Do you know in the Kargil war, the Americans switched off GPS for us? And we had to rely on non GPS means, which was nothing at all, just visual tracking. Do you think we'll make the same mistake again? We have our own systems now. We don't rely on GPS. We may have a module inside each missile or drone or whatever, which uses multiple sources: GPS plus Indian plus Russian plus whatever else plus whatever else. I'm speculating. I'm not saying maybe we are using Russian stuff, but we have our own satellite constellations and all. And I think those are reliable. The Americans, if they get the chance, they'll switch off GPS for us. They may have done it. Who knows? Also, they may have switched off GPS for us this time, but we probably won't mention it. It's a possibility that the Americans may have switched off GPS in the past 3 days for our armed forces. And yet it made no difference in case it happened. So that's the value of having your own technology, right? Okay. Mm, uh, Duch Atma, this is complete speculation. Allegedly, we don't discuss allegedly here. Okay. We don't discuss allegedly stuff here. Speculation. Um, Nationalist says, even if Operation Sindoor is currently paused militarily. Is there any possibility that the operation is going on hidden from the world inside the Pakistani government's inner fort lines? Hitting those targets needs someone there. All possibilities are theoretically open. And there are things that happen behind the scenes, right? There's a whole world of what they call black operations out there. Every country that has any capabilities for this does it. Now we don't discuss that because we have no knowledge of it. But theoretically, everything is possible for sure, for sure. Um, okay, Priya Ranjan says a bit extreme, but is the best way to handle Pakistan simply to hit back periodically under the guise of anti-terror operations, as it's going to violate ceasefire every time, anyways. Um, it's one way of doing things. Yeah, it's definitely one way of doing things. The thing is that it's anyway going to violate the ceasefire periodically. They have a habit of doing that. So I would say every time they violate the ceasefire periodically, we get a just cause for hitting them back, right? So that they themselves are giving us the best way to handle them. So I would say every time they violate the ceasefire, we should hit them. We should hit back. And I would also say that now is the time that every time the Pakistanis violate the ceasefire or try to target civilians in Poonch, Rajouri, wherever, we should start salami slicing their territory. Take 10 meters at a time. Take 20 meters at a time. Salami slice, salami slice. Take the first checkpoint, the first post that they have, military post. You go and gobble it up. Then you defend it. Then let's have a gunfight for a week. Let's let it be. We know how to fight with guns. We know how to fight with mortars. Let's start salami slicing Pakistani territory. I think that's what needs to happen now. They will never learn a lesson unless we start doing these things. Um. All right. What else? Okay. Once again, this question. Russia has offered us joint production of S500 in full transfer of technology. Should we take it? What happened then? What will then happen to Project Kusha? So that's an interesting question. Yeah, I definitely said that we should definitely take the technology. If they are offering us this technology, we should take it. We should do joint production, but we should not stop our own development of a similar system. So we have this thing called Project Kusha or whatever the name is. And as you can see, we have a tremendously capable air defense system already, which has lots of different components that don't really fit together into one integrated package. We have the Barak system, we have the S400 system, we have the Akash system, superstar system, we have the Pechora system, which is a legacy system, we have the L70 system, which is an even more legacy system, and together these things work brilliantly together, but they are not integrated into one package. Now we are in the process of developing something like the S400, which would include all kinds of other things as well, possibly the Prithvi air defense system, etc. So we should continue developing that. We should also acquire the S500 and get full transfer of technology, which we can then use in the other project, the Project Kusha, and perhaps enhance it. So we should certainly do that. We should not let the existing project uh, simply meander away. Uh, McLevin says, I remember that in 2022 we launched a BrahMos in Pakistan by mistake. Was it a way to test their air defenses? Could be, but I don't know for sure. Could be. It's possible. Uh, okay, Anshul says, is there a possibility that the Chinese may have provided the lowest of the low quality radar system to the temporary nation? And why is India letting Starlink inside? Won't it be disastrous? So the possibility, every possibility exists. But from what I hear, the Chinese had provided the best systems to Pakistan for defending Pakistan against India. So yeah, so I can't speculate about that. Why is India allowing Starlink inside? I think we need to reconsider that very, very seriously. We need to reconsider Starlink very seriously. I would say we need to launch our own satellite constellation. We have Geo in India, right? Reliance is Geo. Why can't we have GeoLink as a superior competitor to Starlink? Give ISRO 2 years to develop more powerful rockets that can launch 100 GeoLink satellites in one go, and then create our own constellation with better technology than Starlink. You don't think we can have better satellites than Starlink satellites? We certainly can. We should become a competitor to Starlink. We should not allow Starlink to beam their satellite internet into India, because then whenever there's a riot or there's some kind of insurgency, like whatever, then even if you switch off the internet in that area, the the enemies of the nation will be able to get Starlink access. And we cannot, I mean, even if we tell Starlink to switch off the beams in some region, it's going to depend entirely on them. So it compromises our national security and sovereignty. So we need to reconsider Starlink very seriously. Very seriously. Amara Devendra Dinesh says they have violated the ceasefire again. They've started attacks with drones again. There's blackout now in Punjab and Rajasthan. Whew, what can I say? The government of India needs to do something about this. We can't just sit and take this. We can't just sit and take this. Okay, Mansa says, isn't it better to align with China than with the US after what Trump has done? India and China have the world's biggest population. We can trade better and push the US away. It all depends on the Chinese, the way they behave, Chinese behavior. The Chinese have historically and consistently been anti-India. They fought a war with India in 1962. They fought which we lost. They fought a war in 1967, which we won, and no one talks about it. There were very serious border clashes in Arunachal region in 1987. In 2020, they did the Doklam thing. They have consistently been our adversary, our enemy. They have been the ones starting every fight. And they have consistently in the past tried to salami slice into our territory, take bits and pieces. It's only in the last 10 years or so that we have finally developed infrastructure in the northern regions, so that the Chinese can no longer salami slice us, and still they may be trying. And they support our adversaries. They've published papers and books in which they've advocated for the disintegration of India, the balkanization of India. They are currently working with Mohammed Yunus, who goes to Beijing and says that we need to cut off India's far east, India's northeast, and that sort of thing. They have supplied all kinds of weapon systems to Pakistan. They have projects going on through POK. They conduct joint exercises with the Pakistani military in Pakistan occupied Kashmir. When the Pahalgam attack happens, that's not a friendly nation. The last year or so, they have been making some overtures to India, asking for some kind of possible reconciliation of sorts. And there is now less tension on the India-Tibet border, and the Kailash Yatra may now resume. But at the same time, they are entrenching themselves uh, and increasing their military entrenchment in the northern part of the India-Tibet border, on their occupied side. So you know what? We would love to have friendship with China, but they have a very different approach towards India. So it is because of them that we have to deal with people like Trump. Otherwise, we would be very happy to have the best of relations with China. We have no cultural issues with China. India and China were never neighbors for 2000. How long has China existed? 3,000 years, 3,500 years. We have been such good friends to China, and we have given them so much of our culture and civilization, right? It's their fault they're doing this. So we would love to have that friendship back, but they don't want it. So what can I say? So what Mansa is saying is right. It would be great if this happens, but the Chinese don't want this to happen. So we have no choice. You see, we have no choice. Okay. Now, our Rua says, why isn't India stopping the US from building military bases in Bangladesh? Because see, India is 6 feet tall, Pakistan is 2 feet tall, Bangladesh is 1 foot tall, but the US is 28 feet tall. Can we stop them? Can we stop them? They're too powerful right now. They are too powerful. Mansa says, why is everyone against us? It feels so depressing. The US, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh. It feels so lonely. You see, there are 1.4 billion of us. Why are you feeling lonely? It's a privilege to have no friends. It means you're doing something right. It means everyone is against you because they are jealous of you. See, the Western world is jealous of India. They occupied us and leached the lifeblood out of us for 250 years. And we still exist. And we don't just exist, we are rising again. They hate that. The West is against us. No question about it. They're not happy about our progress, our growth. The Chinese, the same reason. They didn't occupy us. They didn't leech our lifeblood of us. But they have a very Abrahamic mindset today, the Chinese Communist Party, and they see us as the only nation in Eurasia apart from Russia that can challenge them. That's why the thing. Pakistan, Bangladesh. Well, we know why they hate us. Okay, fine. But I'll tell you what, my friends. Nobody else is against us. The nations of the so-called global South, they don't hate us. They would love to see us rise. It'll be such a relief for them to have a nation like India rise. Do you think Thailand hates us? No. Do you think Indonesia hates us? Are they against us? They're not against us. They'll be happy to see India rise because we are not a threat, and we'll be able to give them more safety than any other predatory hegemonic nation. Even the UAE and Saudi Arabia are happy about India's growth. So I would say that look at the world in a different way. It's not that everybody is against us. Lots of countries are happy about India's growth. Look at all the African nations. Do you think anybody is against us there? Nobody is. It's only certain specific countries that are super jealous of our continuing existence, about the fact that we still have our culture. They haven't been able to destroy it. And the fact that we are again standing up. And now, especially after what we've done to Pakistan, they'll be super jealous and seething. So it's a privilege to have people who are jealous of you. It means you're doing something right. And please remember, there are 1.4 billion of us. So don't feel like we are lonely. We are not lonely. We have each other. What else do we need? We have each other. All of us. 1.4 billion of us. uh, Jack Sparrow is saying, don't scold me. I don't mean to scold you. I don't mean to scold you at all. You were trying to gain some knowledge. And can nukes be intercepted after being fired after? No, 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 absolutely not. Sometimes I get annoyed and all, but it's nothing personal. And the only reason I'm doing all this is so I can interact with you all, and whatever little understanding I have, I can share it with you all. So if I came across it like I'm scolding you, I didn't mean to do that. And you are very welcome to ask as many questions as you want. And there are no stupid questions. This is the only way we learn. So please go ahead. Okay. Jasprit Singh says, as we know, the defense minister of Pakistan has admitted the hands behind the terrorism are of the US and the UK, Britain. Though we know that, can we now condemn the US in front of the world? We can't. Officially, we can't. They're too powerful right now. So we will not talk about that. They have been behind Pakistani terrorism. They have funded and financed Pakistani terrorism. The mastermind of the Mumbai attacks 2008 was an American citizen who is in American prison right now. We have an extradition treaty with them, but they won't hand him over because they have something to hide. So everyone knows, the whole world knows, but the whole world tries to disregard what's come out in public. The Pakistani fig leaf of plausible deniability is gone, long gone. It's gone. But because the Americans are so powerful, we will not speak about this as of now. Because like I keep saying in this episode, we are 6 feet tall, but they are 28 feet tall, and you can't mess with them right now. So let us grow. Let us become 30 feet tall, 50 feet tall, then we'll talk. We'll see then. All right? Okay. Samrat Shukla says, what should India do within our borders, Kashmir especially, to fight against terrorism, as terrorists get internal support also, like logistics, manpower, communication, etc.? We need to identify all these networks. All these networks within India, all the enemies within who support terrorism. We need to identify all the enemies within who support our enemies outside of India. And we need to deal with them in full, complete accordance with the laws of the country. Right? That's what needs to do. You have raised a very important point. There are so many overground workers who seem to have been involved in what happened in Pahalgam. And beyond that, there are 100 million possibly Bangladeshis all across India, embedded in every nook and cranny and corner of India. You think they are our friends? They're foreigners. They have no allegiance to our land, to our culture, to our civilization, to our country. The moment they get a chance, they'll do something against us. What about the other foreigners on our territory? The Cookies, the Rohingyas, the Pakistanis, and God knows who else. You have to evict them all. We need to start a mass deportation program. Once the foreigners are deported, we need to look at the enemies within, the citizens who are enemies within. There's a bunch of those also, apparently. So all of that needs to be done. Only then can we have safety within the country. Okay. Um, Bhuvendra says, I told India and Pakistan that if you stop the war, we will do trade, a lot of trade with you. If you don't, we will not trade. All of a sudden, they stopped. Yeah, he said that. He said that. And I put it out on the screen some time ago. Let me share that again. In the beginning of today's live stream, I put that on the screen. Check this out. Here we have it. Uh, so he claimed that US trade leverage played a role in diffusing tensions between the two countries, saying that we helped a lot. We also helped with trade. I said, come on, we're going to do a lot of trade with you guys. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. If you stop it, we're doing trade. If you don't stop it, we're not going to do any trade. So he's essentially threatened India with trade sanctions. Essentially, he's threatened India with sanctions. That I will destroy your economy. That's what he did to us. Don't forget that. Don't forget what he has done. Okay. Okay. Universe says nuclear blackmail won't work. Practically how? They are crazy guys. Even this time, probably they got out by saying that to Trump. If they threat, if they act, how do we handle? Look, if they wanted to act, they would have acted because we had them on their knees. We hit 9 Pakistani air bases, the best air bases they had, in 30 minutes. We had destroyed everything, all their air defenses. By that time, if you still don't use your nuclear weapons, when will you use it? Right? So it's their nuclear blackmail is hollow. They would have obviously threatened Trump with nuclear retaliation or whatever, that we will launch nuclear weapons on India. But yeah, it's all hollow. And we have air defenses that can take out all these missiles. So don't worry so much. We have our air defenses are the best in the world today, better than the Israeli Iron Dome. We have proven it. So let's not worry about the Pakistani nuclear threat. One second, where was this? Questions just fly away. All right. Give me a second. Viral pause. How are we going to take back POK? Are we going to threaten by nuclear escalation? It's not like Pakistan is going to lose their nukes. Let's keep POK for later, I suppose. We're supposed to take it back in the next 2-3 days, or the past 2-3 days. We'll see about that. We'll see about it. We'll talk about it when the time comes to it. Okay. Shri Vatsa says India doesn't seem to buy any German technology, even though Germany was ultra advanced during the Second World War. Why is that? It's because the Germans are US vassals and they will not sell us their best technology. They have good submarines, they have good stuff, but the Germans don't have a very good attitude towards India. It's visible if you know where to look. So it's not a good idea to buy German technology. They have good technology for sure. Okay, Archana says, how are the citizens of Pakistan not aware of what their nation is doing? I mean, do they not see international media to know the truth? And so on. I'm sure the citizens of Pakistan know what their nation is doing and they are fine with it. This is what Indians don't understand. Indians think that the Pakistanis are like us, reasonable people. We don't hate Pakistan. We don't wish death and destruction on the people of Pakistan. So we assume that the Pakistanis are just like us. Dear brothers and sisters of Pakistan, you are just like us. Is it true? The truth is, the Pakistanis are our blood. No question. They are our flesh and blood. Same blood, same DNA, same ancestors. But I am certain at least 90% of Pakistan's citizens want us dead. And they are okay with lying and cheating and whatever to have us dead. They are indoctrinated in that way. They see us as the enemy. They want us dead. If there's a terror attack on India, they like it. They celebrate it. Maybe 5-10% of Pakistanis don't hate us. And I'm glad there are such people that exist. But the overwhelming majority of Pakistan's population hates us. They want us dead. They celebrate terror attacks on us. They know what their nation is doing. And even when their nation loses, they want to say that we have won. And they support their ISI, they support their military, they support their terrorists. They call their terrorists freedom fighters, they call their terrorists social workers. They know everything that's happening. It's not like they don't know what's happening. Please, we need to disabuse ourselves of this delusional thoughts, of this delusional, uh, uh, this delusion that the Pakistanis are like us, and they both sides of the border want things to be well. No, they don't. They want us destroyed. They want us destroyed. Please understand that. Those Pakistanis who don't want us destroyed, I'm glad they exist. Of course, some of them do. There must be 5-10% of Pakistanis who don't want us dead. The overwhelming majority of them want us dead. They want to see us bleed. So please stop loving Pakistanis. To hell with them, most of them. Okay. Something skeptic says again Pakistan attacked India. Well. We need to do something about these Pakistanis. Teach them a lesson they'll not forget. Let's see. That's for the government to look into. Okay, Viraja says if Pakistan have said that they have been indulging in terrorism for the US, why is the US still helping them? Shouldn't they be against Pakistan now? Because you see, the world is not like this all goody goody nice. If the US has been helping Pakistan, has been using Pakistan as the terrorist nation for their own benefit, why will they stop helping them? It See, Pakistan has admitted we have been doing terrorism for 30, 40, whatever years for the US. It means that the US, if this claim is true, has an interest in terrorism and wants Pakistan to use terrorism as an instrument of state policy to advance American geopolitical interests. So, if their interests are such that these interests need terrorism to be achieved, then why will they stop all this? Why will they go against Pakistan? Pakistan has been a good doggy for them. Good, nice doggy. You've been doing whatever I wanted. You're my attack dog. Why will I suddenly go against him? Doesn't make sense, right? Logically. Right. Some questions I will not take. I don't want to get into more controversies for unnecessarily. Let whoever wants to say whatever, let them say it. Okay. Mino Trika says, don't the Pakistani army feel shame after losing? They don't accept loss, and they have the audacity to say they won. See, from their perspective, they are fighting a just war. And it is said that if something is worth fighting for, it is worth fighting dirty for, and that is something we should learn from the Pakistanis. We are all about Satyamev Jayate. The truth has to be told. No, if your nation is worth fighting for, it is worth lying for, it is worth cheating for, it is worth stealing for, it is worth fighting dirty for. Please learn this from your adversaries. Please. We need to learn these things, even from our enemies. Okay, Mani Yashu says huge drones attacked by Pakistan in several places of Punjab and Jammu. Enough is enough. I say enough is enough. I agree with you. But let's see what the government does about this. I definitely say enough is enough. Okay, let us take maybe one more question. Let's take one more question. Where do we take it? The One second. I was trying to take some question. It flew away. I think this is that clown who I used to kind of like, whose way of moving attention from his various blunders like tariffs, which wiped out $10 trillion economies from the market. Yeah, Trump may be trying to divert attention away from his failures. Possibly. Roshan says, after PM Modi's comment that terrorists and Pakistani army will be treated as equal, will India declare Pakistan army a terrorist organization? Our actions should declare Pakistan a terrorist organization. Our actions should equate the Pakistani army with terrorists. Forget about words. Indians are obsessed with words. Let's stop obsessing with words. Our actions should tell the world that we consider the Pakistani army to be the same as the Pakistani terrorists. Our actions should speak louder than our words. All right. Okay, thank you so much for all your questions. I'm going to end the live stream at this point in time. Thank you so much. I know lots of you have questions, but I got to end it here. So I will see you very soon in the next live stream. Possibly tomorrow. I'll decide tomorrow. Okay, possibly tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see about that. Anyway, thank you so much. Take care, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye bye.